Tradies, stop lying to yourselves. A lot of tradies are turning over good money, but they never seem to have any. And get this, most of them are paying themselves last, if at all, for that matter. So what is actually going on there? Now, you hear this one probably in pretty much every pub, every smoker room, and every trades business conversation in the country. Mate, I'm turning over plenty. Got so much work, it's not funny. I just never seem to have any money at the end of it. Or the other version, I'm making good money on paper, but I haven't paid myself properly in months. See that figure, that net profit? It's not in my bank. Now, there is a reason for that. And no, it's not just the ATO. It's not just suppliers. It's not just customers paying you late. They all play a part, but they're usually not the real problem, unfortunately. See, the real problem is something most tradie profit and loss reports do not show properly. And that is, you guessed it, the owner's wage. Most of the blokes I start working with, and I mean most, they're not paying themselves a proper wage. They're not paying themselves for every hour they work in the business. They're taking drawings. They're taking a bit here, a bit there. Whatever's left after everyone else on their team gets paid. Now that's fucking crazy. The staff get paid. The suppliers are getting paid. The fuel card gets paid. The utes gets paid. The accountant gets paid. He's probably not the last one actually normally. The software is paid for because it's on subscription. Then the owner looks at the bank account and goes, right, what can I take this week? And that is backwards. And then they open their profit and loss report. They look at the profit line at the bottom. That's the net profit line at the bottom and think, yeah, I made 100K this year. That's not bad. Except they didn't, because their own wage is not in the cost line. Their time is not in the maths. It's not there. It's not being shown. And if your time is not in the maths, your profit's not real yet. So I'll give you an example. I was chatting with a Sparky. I think it was about 3 weeks ago now. William was his name. And he's got 3 blokes in total, himself, a leading hand and an apprentice. Now, the business on paper looked good. It was turning over 384K. And he sits down with me and we did a profit analysis session, and his profit, or his net profit, was 114,000. He was pretty happy with that. He was pretty stoked. And fair enough, on paper, it looks like a healthy business for 12 months worth of work, right? But I asked him this one question. Hey, mate, are you paying yourself a wage in that? And he goes, nah, I just take drawings, about $1,500 a week, I think. I don't know, my wife knows. So I said to him, hang on, that 114K profit you're looking at, that's not business profit. That's what is left after your own labor got given to the business for free. Because the $1,500 a week he was taking in drawings was not sitting as a proper wage above the profit line in the cost of sales. It's coming out of profit. So then I asked him the question that just made him go completely silent. Hey, how many hours a week do you do for that $1,500? 60, mate. 60 hours a week for $1,500. Now, he's the owner of a business and the most skilled person the business has. That's $25 an hour. His apprentice was taking home more than that. So the room went quiet for about 30 seconds, as you can imagine. Because once you do the maths, you can't undo it, unfortunately. It's the moment of truth. He thought he'd made $114,000 profit, but really, he had bought himself a 60-hour-a-week job for $25 an hour, and he called the leftovers profit. That's not a profitable business. That's a bloke carrying the whole thing on his back and hoping the numbers are going to work out for him one day. So what did we do? We got in, we rolled our sleeves up, and we rebuilt it from the ground up. Now, what he was paying himself, and what he should be paying himself, we landed on about $2.5 grand a week. It just seems a fair wage for a bloke running a business. It's $1,000 more than what he was getting. He's running a business, he's leading a team, he's carrying the risk, he's quoting jobs, he's doing the books, he's chasing customers, he's solving problems, and then he's still even jumping on the tools. So he's a billable asset in the business, so it needs to pay him. And by the way, that's still probably under what a good senior Sparky could earn working for someone else, by the way. Sometimes it is better to work for someone else if you don't know how to run a business. And then we worked backwards. So if William pays himself $2.5 grand a week and he wants the business to make a 20% net profit on top of that, because the business or your business is supposed to be an investment, not just a hard job that doesn't pay well, what does he need to be charging per hour, per bloke, to make the maths work? Now, what we discovered was that that number was a lot higher than what he was currently charging. And that's when the penny dropped. I was one of those people, by the way. The business was not as profitable as he thought. It only looked profitable because William, our great man William, was working for less than what his apprentice was worth to try and save money for the business. Now that's the part that most tradies miss. The problem is not always that the business is too small. The problem is that the owner has been subsidizing the business with his own unpaid labor while absorbing all the stress and everything else that comes with a business. And the minute you put a proper owner wage into the numbers, the truth actually shows up. The quotes are too cheap, the hourly rate is too low, the jobs are too tight, the team productivity is not good enough, or your business model is simply not built properly. But you cannot see any of that clearly until you put yourself into the cost line. It's a must, because until then, the business is not paying for one of its biggest costs and its biggest assets, which is you. Now, here's the simple test. Pull out your own profit and loss report. Look at the bottom line, the net profit line. That's the money that should be left in your business and account after it's paid everything. Then ask yourself one question. Is my proper wage already included above that profit line? Not drawings, because it doesn't show up in the profit and loss account. Not random transfers into a bank account. No, a real wage that pays you superannuation as well. The amount the business would need to pay someone else to do what you currently do and for all the hours that you do it. If the answer is no, then your profit figure is not even real yet, because the business has not paid for your labor. And this is why so many tradies think they are making money but still feel broke. They're looking at a profit number that only exists on paper because they have not paid themselves properly. That's not a business model. That's a self-employment with extra stress and no money to show. And there's a big difference. A real business should be able to do three things well: pay the team, pay the bills, and pay the bloody owner properly. And then still return a return on investment, which is called profit after everything else is paid. Now, if it cannot do that, the numbers simply need fixing. That may mean your charge out rate's too low. It may mean your quotes are too tight. It may mean that your team is just simply not trained to be productive enough to deliver the quotes to profit. It may mean your overheads of your business are too high. It may mean you're doing the wrong type of work for what you're trying to charge. Or it may mean you have grown the business without building your foundations properly from the beginning. But here's the thing, you can't fix what you can't see. So if you're not looking at it, you're not going to find it. And you definitely cannot fix it if your profit and loss report is giving you a fake profit number. I've created another video, by the way, on how to set up your profit and loss. Just check it out. This is where the owner drawings confuse the hell out of people, because drawings are not a wage. Drawings are not a business expense. Drawings are simply money that's taken out of the business by the owner. And there is nothing wrong with that, by the way. But if you are using drawings instead of paying yourself a proper wage, you need to understand what that does to your numbers. It makes the business look healthier than it actually is on paper, because your wage is missing from the operating costs. So that actually, in turn, makes the profit line look so much better. But your bank account still feels rubbish. There's no money left at the end of the week for you. And that's why you get the classic tradie problem, which we hear in the pubs all the time. Good turnover, busy diary, plenty of invoices going out, the team's flat out, we're full up, but the owner's exhausted, he's stressed, he's got no cash, no proper wage, no real profit, and that is not because you're unlucky. It is because the model that you're running with is wrong. The first step is not more leads. It is not a new ute. It is not hiring another bloke. It's not buying more gear. The first step is simply getting the maths right. Getting your profit and loss set up so it can give you the data you need. You need to know what the business actually costs to run, day by day, week to week, month to month, year to year. And when the owner is paid properly, then you need to know what gross profit you need. 50% GP was always our target. Then you need to know what net profit you want. 20% is always a good target for a return on your investment. Then you build your charge out rate, quoting structure, productivity targets, and weekly numbers around that. Not the other way around. See, most tradies start with what they think the market will pay, what their mates are saying, what other business owners are saying. They don't actually work backwards and hope that their business is going to make them money. They don't work backwards and find out. And that's why they get hammered. You cannot build a profitable business simply on hope. You build it on numbers. And I know some people will say, yeah, but if I charge that much, I will not win the job. Good. You can stay at home and we'll lose money. You don't have to go to work to lose money. You probably shouldn't win some of those jobs anyway, because a cheap job that doesn't pay you properly is not a win. And you're going to cut corners to try and make money out of it. It's just a delayed problem. You win the job today, then pay for it later with stress, overdraft, unpaid bills, and another month where you cannot pay yourself properly. That's not winning. That's just buying work. And too many tradies are buying work just to stay busy. Busy is not the goal. Profit, return on investment of your time and money is the goal. Cash flow, good turnover is the goal. A business that pays you properly is the goal. I caught up with William last week to see what he'd done with the session that he'd had, the profit analysis session. He's now charging way more per hour. He's winning more work, funnily enough. And that is the part people do not understand. The right customers do not always leave you because you increase your price or because you're too expensive. The wrong customers do. And sometimes that's exactly what needs to happen. Let that sink in for a sec. Because if your business only works when you are underpaid, it doesn't work for you, your team, your family, or anyone for that matter. And if the only way you can win jobs is by leaving your wage out, the quote's wrong. If the only way the business shows a profit is because you are working 60 hours a week for less than what your apprentice takes, the profit is fake. So here's the no BS version. If you're a tradie, business owner, and you are not paying yourself a proper wage, you do not know your real profit yet. You know your turnover. You might know what is in the bank. You might know what Xero or MyOb says at the bottom of the page, the net profit line. But you don't know your real profit until your own wage is included properly. So this week, guys, do the maths. Work out what you should be paid as the owner, what you want to be taking home each week. Put that number into the business. Then look at what is left. That is the real business. That's the number you need to fix if it doesn't work in your favor, if it doesn't pay you a good wage. And if that number hurts, then bloody good, it needs to. At least now you're going to deal with the truth. You opened your eyes up to what's happening. Because once the numbers are honest, you can actually make better decisions. You can fix your pricing. You can fix your quoting. You can fix the productivity of your team. You can fix your cash flow, and you'll have money to invest back into the business. But you cannot fix a business that is lying to you on paper. If it hits home, subscribe to my channel. I will be breaking down the real numbers tradies need to know how to build better businesses. Gross profit, net profit, charge out rates, owner's wage, cash flow, productivity and efficiency levels of your boys, reducing reworks, and all the unsexy stuff that actually makes the business work. Comment below if you want me to do a full breakdown. We call it a profit analysis session with you on how to work out your correct charge out rate, because that is where this will get really interesting for you. Take your blinkers off, get in, have a look at the real data. Be sure to like and subscribe for more content, and check the links below for our free content library so that you can start fixing those things in your business that just might be broken, or you have no idea that they existed in the first place. Anyway, catch you next time.